Thank you for sitting down with me today.
No problem, but why am I here?
Do you have any urges to walk through a fortress?
Walk? No, I would just fly over it.
Yes, I see. And what about once your wings fall off?
Fall off? What are you talking about?
Oh, come on, don't play coy with me.
I have no idea what you mean.
You know, when you evolve into a Lao Shan Lung.
I do not turn into a Lao Shan Lung.
We'll see about that.
Ladies, gentlemen, and
monsters of all ages, it's time to talk a bit about a certain mystery within the Monster Hunter franchise. No, not if Lao Shan Lung is actually just an old Rathalos. That's just my personal theory with no real manner of actual proof available. There is, however, another topic related to Lao Shan Lung that people have talked about for years. One that is asserted to be a fact, but has limited actual information available to its name. This creature is a part of the world of Monster Hunter. There's a reasonable amount of lore about the creature in general as a species, existing since somewhat ancient times, being incredibly large monsters that can live in all kinds of environments, and while they aren't particularly hostile towards anything really, they are dangerous to all manner of living things simply due to their sheer size, causing tremors when they walk and even destroying parts of mountains just because they decided that it is the direction that they wanted to go. Lao in the past have taken out villages, and the one specific Lao Shan Lung that most hunters will know about is notorious for trying to break down an entire fortress simply for the purpose of moving from point A to point B. But there are some questions about this specific event, some mystery attached to it. Why was this Lao Shan Lung so committed to moving this direction that it would topple an entire fortress just to go there instead of just heading the other way around? Well, the prevailing theory, the one that is most commonly referred to as a fact, is that this particular Lao Shan Lung was specifically running away from Fatalis, basically painting him as just a scared little child seeing Fatalis as the monster under the bed, only instead of a bed it's Castle Shrade, and instead of under it's on top of.
That's totally different.
In any case, this wasn't part of our initial briefing on Lao Shan Lung or our fighting him in general, so the question remains, is this an actual fact or is it simply something the community decided made sense and then ran with to make a whole story out of it? Well, to figure that answer out, we need to consider a few different things. Firstly, Lao Shan Lung in general. He can live pretty much anywhere. Habitat is not really a problem for him, and his diet is more than anything just ore. Bits of shiny rock full of minerals and nutrients. For that reason, it isn't the most common thing for a Lao to really make any extensive travels in their lives. The food source doesn't really run dry all that easily, and even if it does in one specific area, they wouldn't have to go very far to get more. It just wouldn't make sense. As for the other side of the equation, Fatalis, it isn't a secret that living things will avoid him. He has a sort of aura around him that freaks out all living things. In the 6-year-old Reddit comment from band Legiacris, who is a well-known Monster Hunter researcher, he brings up the fact that this is due to Fatalis having some sort of unnatural feeling to it that just causes everything nearby to be afraid of it. And this isn't just related to Fatalis either, but all of the black dragons in general seem to have this property that just makes everything run wild in terror from even the faintest hint of their existence nearby. So it is known that all black dragons have this effect, and this brings up two more questions to follow. First, was Lao Shan Lung actually running? And if so, do we have any proof that it was Fatalis causing this and not any other monster? After all, even if it was a black dragon, it doesn't necessarily prove that it was this black dragon. First, let's look at a book about Lao Shan Lung that you can read within Freedom Unite. This book states that Lao is actually known to wander a bit aimlessly between a couple of different areas just in general, and that is why the fort itself exists in the first place. It was built within the path of one of its frequent travel routes to try and keep it from interacting with villages in a negative way, as its just general travel can cause great destruction. It is the result of this that why hunters just go to fight it at this fortress, and there are a host of hunters that are asked to stay nearby the fortress as a deterrent for when this happens, so that they can defend the fort and try to turn the Lao Shan Lung away, because, well, that's where the most interesting deterrent to this mystery comes. You can kill Lao Shan Lung, of course. This is how you carve it and get a bunch of materials in the game, but this quest actually has two endings considered a victory: the slay option, but also the repel. It is actually a fact within the lore that if you do enough damage to a Lao while they're assaulting the fortress, they will just turn around and find another way through to get where they're going. And this is, of course, represented within the quest as you can repel Lao without killing him. Unlike other Elder Dragons in the earlier Monster Hunter games, though, this isn't a way to kill him over an extended period of time. He doesn't keep the damage the next time that you see him. This is just considered a genuine end to his fight, and honestly, it sort of seems to be the guild's preferred result. Killing this monster isn't really necessary, you just need to keep it away from the places you want to protect. The very fact that it is possible to turn this monster around and make it find another path makes me question the whole theory though. If Lao Shan Lung were truly running from Fatalis, scared for its life, would it really be willing to turn around and find another way? The only way that I could see that is if the hunters somehow pose an equal threat, and while we can kill Lao, it definitely seems a stretch to say that hunters pose an equal threat to a black dragon, to Fatalis. This brings in the next question. Is Lao Shan Lung running because it is just trying to get away from a static aura that it's aware of, or does it genuinely think that it is the target of Fatalis? If it's the first one, then the first option does actually sort of make sense.
He wants to kill me.
Not necessarily relevant to this exact discussion, but still related to the monsters at hand, and quite interesting is the Tale of Five, the story that explains why hunting parties are always limited to 4 hunters for as long as the games have existed. The Kokoto chief went on a Lao Shan Lung hunt with 4 other hunters, including his fiancée. The hunt ended with only 4 hunters returning, with his fiancée dying in the field. Yes, hunting is a dangerous profession in general, but there aren't really a whole lot of in-universe lore-confirmed deaths doing so this one is sort of a really big deal, especially as it created the concept of our hunting parties that is stuck even to this day. It is said that in general, hunts that had 5 or more hunters just often led to deaths, way more than 4 hunters, but this is the only specific story that we actually have about it, and the fact that it has to do with Lao Shan Lung is also interesting. This puts the lore version of Lao as being maybe more powerful than we actually experience within the game, more powerful than we as hunters would expect. Generally speaking, it is known that Lao definitely don't have anything to fear from monsters that aren't elder dragons. They're just way too massive and well armored to actually be scared, but they don't have a whole lot of offensive firepower, and so theoretically, any elder dragon level monster with enough persistence could eventually take down this behemoth of a creature. However, on the flip side of this, we also have his immenseness, the absolutely massive Wyverian. He is known to have hunted many Lao Shan Lung, and in his later years actually just straight up wrestles with them. I'm not kidding, this guy wrestles with Lao for fun. This sort of shows another side of Lao Shan Lung. Yes, they are destructive, but they aren't unstoppable by any means at all. And in theory, it wouldn't have to be a Fatalis to make it be afraid, to make it start running away. So what else is there? What options are there to prove this or disprove it? Well, before we get to our conclusion, I have an interesting Reddit comment to point out once more, this time from Jek95, where at the end they say that a confirmed fact based on Ecology is that Fatalis will kill and eat Lao Shan Lung. I've not seen the specific Ecology that they mention, but if this is true, then of course it would stand to reason that Lao as a species would just generally have an even greater Fatalis than other monsters. And now we come to the big kicker, the thing that more or less confirms this one way or the other, the Iceborne lore book. This is an official lore book created by Capcom, and it has a section on Fatalis himself, given that he was obviously put in Iceborne as the final monster. One small part of this section does actually mention Lao Shan Lung, interestingly enough. Forgive the translation here, as this is in Japanese originally and using Google to translate it to the best of its ability. In this text, Mira Boreas refers to Fatalis, but it specifically says the words Lao Shan Lung appeared to be escaping from Fatalis, and that there are no stories of it targeting any other monsters in particular. The specific usage of the word appeared here means that it isn't necessarily confirmed, but given that once again this is a Google Translate, it may not be perfectly accurate to assume that it means that. What's important here is that an official lore book mentions a Lao Shan Lung running from Fatalis, and mentioned that this is a unique interaction between these two specific monsters that isn't unknown to happen. With this almost single-handedly, I think we can confirm that Lao Shan Lung in general do run from Fatalis, and that they have good reason to do so as well. This is quite possibly the reason that all Lao Shan Lung have a tendency to quote-unquote wander aimlessly, because they are in fact just trying to avoid Fatalis actively by relocating often. It doesn't necessarily prove that the specific Lao that we fight within the games was running from Fatalis at that moment, but it does make it extremely likely, and so I think we can conclude that this is all but proven as a result. So that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this exploration into the lore behind Lao Shan Lung and his relationship with Fatalis. It goes into some interesting places, but in the end, everything wound up pretty much confirming what we already believed. Not necessarily surprising, but a fun time nonetheless. Like if you like the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. is, goodbye.